Welcome to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My name is Katie Dodd, and I'm a nutrition entrepreneur. I spent 7 years as a side hustler before diving into entrepreneurship full time. Before making the leap, I was bringing in 6 figures through my side hustle. If I can do it, you can too. This podcast is for dietitians, interns, and students who want to be inspired to start or perfect the side hustle of their dreams. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to the 177th episode of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast, Ups and Downs. Now, if you are a regular Dietitian Side Hustle podcast listener, you might have noticed that I have not shared any episodes for like a month. And that was kind of unintentional. I overextended myself like we all sometimes do, and I just didn't have time to get out content. I ended up taking an amazing 11-night trip at the beginning of December, and when you're gone for that long, there's all this work that comes ahead of time to get everything ready to leave. And then when you get back to get caught up. So I feel like the last month has been a whirlwind. I'll kind of share some updates on what I've been up to because it's all been amazing, fun things. Golly. So this trip that I went on, first I went to Blue Ridge, Georgia, and I met with my business mastermind, the Smart Success Healthcare Inner Circle. And I know I've talked before on the podcast and in, the dietitian side hustle world, that the benefit and value of being in a mastermind. But I just want to emphasize again that nothing beats the power of being at an in-person event and masterminding with other amazing healthcare professionals. So that event was really, really special. It was held at my business coach's cabin in Georgia, and it was just the momentum and excitement that I got of like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait for what I'm going to do next in my business was just so wonderful. Now, after that, I ended up getting a rental car, driving to see a few of my friends. I went to near Greenville, South Carolina. I haven't really officially been to the Carolinas before. Once I drove into Cherokee, South Carolina when I was at the Great Smoky Mountains and then left, but I don't really feel like that was like visiting the state. So I got to go to see my friend Lindsay. She's an entrepreneur. I've spoken about her a few times on the podcast. She runs coffee stands, but really a big support system and even inspiration for me on my own entrepreneurial journey. I think back to all the walks that we would go on in the morning when she still lived in Oregon and dreaming and scheming about things that I never thought would come true. And it's so amazing to be actively living these dreams that at the time never felt possible. So I got to go see her at her home and see her family in South Carolina. Then I drove to North Carolina, went there for the first time and saw my friend Angela and got to see Wilmington, North Carolina. Now, I'm a big fan of Nicholas Sparks' books. And if you're familiar with Nicholas Sparks, most of his books are based out of North Carolina, and some of them actually take place in Wilmington. So I was living my best life in Wilmington. It was amazing. We walked so much. Angela showed me the whole city and it was a blast. From there, I took a flight from Wilmington to Tampa, Florida, because I was attending the Practice Revolution live event called Time to Thrive. So Javier and Marissa Carlin, this is their third in-person event, and I've been to every one. The first one I went to was 3 years ago and was actually held in their home, in their living room. Last year was Nutrition BizCon, an event we did together, and this year, it just, every time they do it, it continues to get bigger and better. So this was an amazing conference for nutrition entrepreneurs. It was 3 days long, and let me tell you, the speakers were amazing. I was a speaker too. I'd like to think I did pretty good, but all the speakers there were so motivational, so amazing, and I will tell you, when I came home from this trip, my cup was filled. My cup was filled because I was able to connect with friends, connect with entrepreneurs, dream big, serve people, love on people, all the things that fill my cup. And when I came home, I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to keep this momentum going. So I'll be sharing probably in other episodes some of the things that I've been doing to keep the momentum going, because when you go to something like this, momentum's high. It can be real easy to lose that momentum, but I am determined to keep it going because it just feels so good. And I got lots of people to help, lots of things to do. So very excited about that. So that's kind of what I've been up to, is fun adventures, lots of business stuff, prepping before I left, catching up when I got back. I was thinking about this too. My last episode, I told you guys about how my cat flooded my kitchen. Little update on the kitchen. It is still out of commission. I actually just learned because I did have hardwood floors, and they're actually putting the hardwood floors in right now. And at some point in the process, they said we have to move out for like 10 days because they have to, I don't quite understand it, but let the wood settle, sand it, polish, settle. Probably not polish, it's probably finish. I don't know. There's a whole process they have to do, and they don't want anyone in the home when they're doing it. So, with all the chaos that we've been going through with my cat flooding my kitchen before Halloween, we are still dealing with it. My kids are home for winter break, and we are pretty much confined to our bedrooms because all of our living spaces are under construction right now. But yeah, hopefully the end is near. It's pretty wild. This whole kitchen thing. If you follow me on Instagram at the Katie Dodd, you've been able to see. I've been sharing kind of the journey. I shared like the new counters that I got. Well, not counters. They're the same counters, but I got new granite because they had to take out the lower cabinets, and when they did that, the granite on top broke, so we had to get new granite. And so yeah, it's a whole thing. But quick little update for anyone who is, following my kitchen journey. So let me get to what I wanted to talk to you guys about, and that is about ups and downs. And I guess let me kind of preface what this is, but first I'll tell you why I'm talking about this. When I was at the Time to Thrive Practice Revolution live event, I gave a presentation about bridging the gap. And I know I talked about like what the gap is a few episodes back, which is really just the space between where you're at now and where you want to be, and then trying to figure out, how you're going to get there. And I probably talked about these concepts, but when I shared this one slide, it just made me realize how powerful this graphic and image is. And I know that we are on a podcast and you can't see unless you're on YouTube, but you're just seeing my face if you're on YouTube. I'm not sharing any screens, but I shared this graphic that I thought was really powerful. So that's kind of where this is coming from. I'm going to back up and then come back. So what I mean by the ups and downs is life. Sometimes we think there's business over here, life over here, but they're not separate. They're not separate silos. Everything's intertwined. And with everything in life, it is full of ups and downs, amazing highs and hard lows. And when we think of the journey of entrepreneurship, whatever that looks like for you as a side hustler, as a full-time entrepreneur, we often start where we're at and we look at where we want to go. And sometimes we have this picture in our mind that it's going to be a straight line to the top, right? Like picturing a line graph. So there's a line at the bottom corner, goes up to the top. And when we are following that line and all of a sudden it starts going down, we start feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm failing. What's going on? I'm supposed to be going up. Why am I going down? But that's part of the process. That's part of the journey. It is full of the ups and the downs. Oh, maybe my next episode, I'm going to be talking about failure. Yeah, I'm writing this down. I might actually record my next episode right after this one, get it pre-scheduled, so that way we don't go so long with a gap of me not sharing podcast episodes. So anyways, we see a dip, right? And we think, oh my gosh, what is wrong? But we need to understand that this is the process, this is the journey. It is not a straight line from where I am now to where I want to be. Life is full of ups and downs, business is full of ups and downs. But here's the thing about the ups and downs. If you could picture that line graph, right, from the bottom to the top, the ups and downs, I think sometimes we think that when we go up, when we go down, we go all the way back to where we started. Then we go up a little, then we go down right back to where we started. But we need to understand that as we are moving forward in business and entrepreneurship, the downs you have, you're still going to be higher than when you started. So picture that line graph again from, the bottom corner to the top. And instead of being a straight line, it is going up, little drop down, a little bit higher, little drop down, even higher, maybe a bigger drop, but then even higher, and then a drop. So imagine that drop towards the end of the line graph. You're still so much further than where you started. And I think that's important for us to think about this journey of the ups and downs and looking back and realizing that no matter where we are in business through the ups and downs, we're still so much further than where we started. And so when we experience a down in business, first off, this is perfectly normal. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is part of the process. You have not failed, just don't give up. But when we actually look at this kind of bar graph picture, we realize, you know what? I'm a little bit lower, but I am 10 times higher than where I was when I started. So I remember, actually, I don't remember. I don't even remember where someone talked about this concept. And I hope that I'm painting a good picture, even though it's just audio. But I remember when someone painted that picture, seeing that image in my head, I was like, man, that makes a lot of sense. and also gave me permission to have grace for myself during the downs, understanding it's just part of the process. So I hope that's helpful to you guys. I hope that makes sense that on your journey, being a side hustler, being an entrepreneur, being a human living in life, life is full of ups and downs. But we have to understand that the downs, while they're not super fun, they're part of the process of business and life, and understanding you're not going all the way to the bottom. You're dipping little and you're going to keep going and you'll continue rising, understanding that in the end, that straight line that you envisioned, you're going to reach that point. It's just not a straight line. It's a big old swiggly one with some real highs and some real lows, but getting there is absolutely worth it. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. And thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. And I know the holidays are right around the corner. So for those of you who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. New Year's is coming up, but I'll have another episode coming out before then. So, yeah, if you want to learn more about all the ways we can work together, head on over to katiedodd.com. That is my Linktree page, and you can find out about all the things I'm up to and ways that we can work together. So thanks so much for joining, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye, guys.